I couldn't have picked a better day for walking in the Cheviot Hills. There was no wind and there's some warmth in that sunshine. It's beginning of March now and spring's definitely arrived. There's a fine dusting of snow on top of the Cheviot and I can see for miles right into Scotland as well. There's a lot of ruined old farmsteads and settlements here in the Cheviot Hills. Just down there, Yearning Hall, it's just a small building and I think it was lived in up till about 1940, and the name suggests something a bit more grand, Yearning Hall. So it could be on the site of a much earlier, you know, more substantial building. On this bit of a saddle down from Yearning Low, you can see earthworks on the ground. You can't really see much from the ground, but from the air you can clearly see it from Google Earth imagery. Archaeologists have had a look at it and they've given it a possible medieval date. There's animal enclosures, so they've classed it as a pastoral site, which would have been used by shepherds herding the animals. And that's not surprising because we're not that far away from the Drovers Road, the main road into Scotland, where cattle, sheep, livestock would have been transported north and south of the border. I'm on the border ridge and I'm coming up to the summit of Lamb Hill. The trig point is just over there. Just up from the Blindburn, one of the tributaries, there's the remains of a whisky still. I'm probably only a few hundred metres away from it. Well, I haven't been able to locate the wild goats, but I managed to capture a couple of roe deer. It's kind of saved the day. There's an area marked spring on the map and the whisky still is right next to there. The mud floor and drying kiln was here. I can just make out the shape of a rectangular building. Bit of history, guys. This is what it's all about, just getting out and exploring. They had leveled the place out, which you can tell they've cut into the bank. So yeah, this is definitely the site of the malt floor and drying kiln. And the whisky still was just a bit further down. Illicit whisky making was quite common in the day. After the wars with France, with increased spending and taxation, people started brewing their own whisky. The difference in the cost of whisky north of the border and in England encouraged whisky smuggling. Whisky drinking in the Coquet Valley, in fact in northern areas, it was unheard of in other parts of the country where people were brewing gin. I see another road deer up there. Whisky drinking was quite a popular pastime. The shepherds up here, it was an important staple in their diet when moving cattle from Scotland to England or vice versa. And a lot of landowners turned a blind eye to the illicit whisky trade and whisky making because it subsidised their tenants' wages and allowed them to pay their rents. That's the head of the valley up there. I can't see any rectangular buildings, so back there has to be the site of the malt floor and drying kiln. I can't see any sign of the still. There probably would have been oak barrels or something like that. That's the spring where the whisky still was next to, so they may have got their water directly from that water source there, or perhaps from the stream. That stone which has been dressed isn't natural here, so that has got to be part of the whisky still. But I'm just going to have to head down. It's going to be dark in an hour or so. I don't have a head torch. I don't know this area. I just know if I follow this tributary down, I reach the Blindburn, and then if I keep going Blindburn farm, and my car is just round the corner from there. What's fascinating to me, I'm walking the same path up the valley the whisky makers would have done all those centuries ago, and I kind of connect with the landscape because my heart's, I know I don't want to get emotional, but I feel a connection. My forefathers wandered these parts, the border rivers. I come from the Robson family. They were up Reedsdale. I don't feel lost and I don't feel lonely in the Cheviot Hills. I feel a part of it. One of the many sheepfolds here in the Cheviot Hills. I'll tell you what it is, the paths up here are very indistinct. You lose it from time to time, but you can kind of make it out a little bit further down. In the dark, it'll be really difficult navigating here. If it wasn't for that waypoint marker, you can quite easily get lost. Thank goodness for them waypoint markers. I don't want to keep getting my GPS out and then having to get my reading glasses out just to check where I am. I know where I am. I just keep missing the track. It's very intermittent. But I'm heading in the general direction of where I need to go. The track's here, so I don't want to keep getting my GPS out just for the sake of it. I'm not technically lost yet. Looks a bit small for an old mine. Perhaps it's a Durga's cave. Perhaps they use it to trick weary travellers like me who pass. Trick them to come over to have a look, never to be seen again. So I better get a move on. The Jackery 1000 will run a small heater, that's 400 watts, and I tested it at home, and after 15 minutes it used like 10% of the power, so it would go flat after about 2.5 hours. So it's only really good for, you know, warming the place up before you get out of bed, or just warming the place up in general. If you're just getting in like I have, I'm absolutely freezing, and I know the best place for us is in my sleeping bag. But I just wanted to try this out and just see how quickly it warms the car up. A few months ago, when Storm Arwen hit, we were without power for 2 days, and on top of that, I caught the virus, and the phone didn't work, the landline was dead. And if I didn't have a way of charging my mobile phone, in fact, there was one point I was waking up, I had such a high temperature. It was like the worst flu I'd ever had. But temperature would come down and I was like delirious. I was like, the heat was spinning. And I nearly woke the wife up to phone an ambulance. And if my phone hadn't been kept charged, it might have made the difference between life and death. I could have been a lot worse. You know, these are great for camping, but you don't realise just how much you could need one in times of an emergency, and Storm Arwen proved that for me. So I'm going to recommend Jackery products, and I'm not just saying that. I've used them for months now, and I tell you it is, I'd be lost without it. Jackery's opened a new website here in the UK. so you can buy direct from them instead of going through Amazon. And there will be discount codes as well. When I get them, I'll put them in the links down below. I'm in my warm sleeping bag tonight, my Sky High 700. I'm on a lovely inflatable air bed, and I've got all my rubbish and my things just stuck to one side of the car, and I'm sleeping on the other side. It's not luxury, but it's better than being in a freezing cold bivvy. And I am getting soft in my old age. Get out and do a bit of car camping, you know it makes sense, you know it makes sense. Right guys, I'm done enough waffling. I'm going to switch off and catch us all tomorrow. I'm going to get up and get ready and head off home. I'm not going to go looking for the wild goats because it could be anywhere from here down to Windy Gale, and it's hard trekking up there, you know what I mean, because I was off the track most of the time and it was boggy, my feet were wet, and I was falling over as well. I did manage to see a couple of road deer, so you know it wasn't the end of the world. And even I don't even look at it as a failure. I didn't see the Cheviot wild goats, but I was out enjoying the countryside, and that's what it's all about. When I'm cooking in here, I have to open the hatch and cook on the rear, but it's usually windy. I was thinking about the back seats which I've got down. They're like a 1 seat and a 2 seat, and I can sit on that and I can cook, because I can have the cooker next to us where I'm sleeping now. I'm quite happy the way I've got things set up in here. I don't think I can improve on it, to be honest with you. I lie down one side and I've got all my things on the other side, and I can easily access them. You know, I could get a boot jump, but I wouldn't leave it in all the time because I need the car for other things, like runs to the tip, and I think they're very expensive for what they are. So I think, because this is an all-round vehicle, it's a family car, and it's a weekend wild camping warrior. Right, I'm gonna get up and get dressed.